All right, well, welcome to the Q&A portion of our webinar on successfully leading Kaizen events. I'm Kirby Sneen and honored to have our two guest speakers here for this Q&A. Matt Kanz. Matt, thanks for being here. And then also Brad Graetz. So thank you, Brad.
Yes.
This is always a lot of fun. We can go a little bit deeper. And so before we go deeper into your content, just to kind of set the stage for everyone that just jumps right into this video, tell me a little bit more about your experience, number of Kaizen events and like yours involved in Kaizen overall. Would you go first?
Sure. So I was counting last night, looking back at all my files, and I want to say about 150 Kaizen events. Anywhere for, I'd say about half of those were full week-long Kaizen events, and half of them were 1 and 2 day blitz events. So
nice.
Definitely with that experience, you're able to successfully lead those as you do those.
Right, kind of just go through them over and over and always learning, right? What's working, what's not.
Yeah.
Over how many years?
25 years.
Nice.
And over 6 different companies, which is great to see those different product mixes, low volume, high mix, high volume, low mix, injection molding, sheet metal. It helps.
I love that. Once you get different operating environments, you start to see the forest through the trees.
Yes.
It's good. How about you?
About 15 years doing Kaizen events. I won't say I'm up to 150. I'm somewhere near 100, I'm sure. But same thing, different environments, which is a lot of fun because the tools actually work no matter what the process is. So as long as you're aligned with how the tools work, they can have an impact on any business, which is really exciting.
I'm glad you mentioned the word impact. I want to hang out there for a little bit. Tell everyone watching this the really purpose and the value creation behind a Kaizen event, whether it is a 1 day, 3 day, or 5 day event. Where's value created?
You said purpose and value, and what reason I like those two words is the purpose always goes back to the culture. I think the impact on the team, if you do a Kaizen event really well, it has an impact on culture, a positive impact. The value, it always has to drive value, whether it's better quality, better service, better delivery, or simply just cost savings, reducing the amount of work content needed to create something. So there's always value, but I start with the purpose. It drives and builds culture, which is extremely important.
What would you add?
I think, during those report outs, those daily updates, at the town halls, all of those communication touch points start to change that culture. So that's just as powerful and impactful to the financial savings. Definitely, we do track cost savings, but not every single event. But when you add it all up at the end of the year, there's significant hundreds of thousands of dollars typically, depending on how many events you have. So I think it's both of those aspects.
And that also hinges on the success of the event overall, and it hinges on the degree to which the leader can kind of facilitate the event. And so, can you tell me about a time where maybe things didn't go so well, and there was a misstep or a lesson learned?
Yeah, in general, of those 150 Kaizen events, there are several that maybe didn't go as planned, or some of them even probably reverted. I wouldn't say the majority of them, otherwise I probably wouldn't be here. But I think people understanding, what happened and why, and then maybe it's another event, coming back to that area. Some operators think when they first get into it, hey, we already did that Kaizen. Well, at the first place I worked, it was every single year you kept going back to that same area and improving.
Matt, how about you? Can you share a lesson learned?
Yeah, many failures. So I love to hear that because I thought maybe I was the only one, but I've had many failures, but it leads back to prep work. And so if you listen to my discussion, I talked a lot about preparation. And generally where I've had events fail is we step on a landmine. There's something we didn't know about, something that we didn't prepare for, and it's a surprise. And it's that curveball where it's a big enough surprise that it actually impacts the outcome of the event. And so that prep work, I can't stress that enough. Take the time to do that. You won't avoid failures because you're still going to have failures, but that's the beauty of Kaizen event. It's good change. Well, you can't have change without failure. So at the end of the day, it's okay to fail, but really look deeply. And when I've reflected in my past career, it's preparation. I missed something during the preparation.
So for those watching that are thinking, okay, in order for preparation to go well, we got to go one layer deeper, and we've got to make sure that we select the right event to prepare for. I'm putting right in air quotes because you can fill in the gaps there, but how do you go about selecting the right event? What's right?
Go for it.
You know, as you mentioned in your presentation, that strategic approach, using that value stream map versus shotgun Kaizens, can really impact reducing lead time to the customer. And a lot of times in those value stream maps, you can't necessarily see that waste in between those processes, which is typically the first event that you would go to and see, right? Make processes, you know, assembly lines faster, more efficient, but sometimes that isn't the right thing. So understanding when to use which tool in your tool belt just comes with experience.
Anything you'd add in terms of the selection process and what's included in that?
No, I think you want to align on the impact of the business with whoever asks for the event. So if they're looking for a one-day quick hit event, just align that the impact may not be as lasting, or it may just help short term. But if it's value stream mapping and it's coming from a Kaizen burst, wonderful, because people have invested the time to say, okay, now I'm going to invest resources. But it's really aligning on how big of an impact you'll actually have from the event.
So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the types of events. You both mentioned several types of events in your presentations. What's maybe the most common type of event? Brad, you go first.
Sure. I think 5S, right? It's one of the foundational tools. It's easy for operators to understand, you know, organizing their workspaces, which leads to efficiency, improved quality. Standard work maybe is that next level of making sure that, you know, processes are defined. You know, more advanced tools like 3P, process development, those events are a little more strategic, more difficult, less common. Value stream maps, there's a ton of them.
When you look at 5S, visual management standard work, you went through the list. Is it common for it to be a 1 day, 3 day, 5 day? Is there a correlation there? It
depends on how big the scope is, but let's say a company is just starting out, right? Probably need to do a full week Kaizen event to come up with a model cell or a model area for people to see. Then as companies, you know, the cultures start to improve, then maybe it's a 1 day event. I'd say 5S typically are 1 to 2 day events. You do them in smaller sections. Standard work events typically are longer, 3 to 5 days, because they're involved. You're changing operators' work. You're trying to balance that to be efficient. So that's what I would add.
Yeah, it takes time to do the time studies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Matt, what would you add to this one?
We talked in my presentation. I talked about a spot Kaizen. You mentioned Blitz. You know, that 1 day quick hit event. You also look at where the organization is in the change process. You know, are they going through a turnaround? Are they more in a sustainment? So their ability to take on a 5 day event or multiple 5 day events, it's really about the maturity of the business. So if they're ready for it, you can do a lot of 5 day events and have a big impact. But if it's a transforming, they need to drive bottom line results, you might be doing a lot of spot Kaizens or rapid improvements, which is perfectly fine. As a facilitator and leader, you've got to get them to those 5 day events because they're well resourced, well planned. But in some instances, businesses need impact right now, so that's the 1 or 3 day events.
Right. That's a good point.
So a lot of leaders watching this are going to say, okay, I know I need to prepare. You both mentioned preparation in your presentations. What's the most common preparation that you're doing as leaders to make sure that when you facilitate the event, it's successful?
You know, I mentioned the Kaizen charter is the standard work that we use. It's key. It's, you know, you start with just the charter meeting kickoff, and then you're going through all those sections of that Kaizen charter, and it lasts throughout.
Walk me through it real quick.
Sure.
Punch list on what's in your charter.
Yeah, it's the timing, it's the length of the event, it's the project area, it's the requirements, it's the current state. Scope is key, right? Mm-hmm. You want to, what's in scope, what's out of scope. Objectives, what does a great Kaizen event look like? Mm-hmm. Spell it out to the team, along with, I call it the Kaizen event leader standard work. Mm-hmm. It walks through that leader exactly what's needed in the prep, the Kaizen event phase, and then the sustainment phase.
Matt, what would you add to preparation?
You hit on the charters. I think that's great. Anytime someone requests or believes there's a Kaizen event opportunity, I kind of go old school, stand in circle. So, you know, some people know about stand in circle. If you don't know, read up on it. But basically, I'm going to go stand in the circle for a period of time in that area and kind of understand what's happening actually in the process. Because generally people come to you with a problem, but they really may not understand what the problem is. Then the next step is really talking to the people that are working in the area. So the people that actually change the form, fit, or function in the area, what are they seeing and what are they facing? So now we've got the visibility of the stand in circle. Now we're talking to the actual people that are doing the work. And the third piece is, who's the customer? It can be an internal customer, an external customer. I want to talk to the people that are actually receiving the products from that area. What do they see that is positive or negative? That way, what we're doing is creating that alignment with leadership, that what they're feeling as pain is actually transpiring or happening in that specific area. And what you may find out is there's a completely different problem, and that's where you go back to the leadership team and ask questions to make sure that we understand. But then it gets right into charter, the prep plan. But those are three quick things that you can kind of understand. Are we where we need to be before we even kick off the event?
Appreciate it. So then if I'm asked to participate in an event and I'm a little bit nervous, what can I do to kind of ease the tension and then prepare to participate?
My favorite mantra is be yourself. Don't try to be anybody who you're not. So if you're in an event, you're an expert. So at the end of the day, bring your expertise. And I think that's the key thing, is that confidence that if you're in the event, you're needed. Your expertise is needed. And I think you've kind of got to spell that out for people, because they may not always see themselves as an expert. But if you're picking that team member to be in the event, they just need to be themselves.
Brad, what would you add in addition to bring the expertise?
Right. I like to have those conversations, you know, in addition to that, the week before, paint a picture of what a Kaizen event looks like. You know, some people might be scared of it, but we like to have fun. We just get together and come up with great solutions, and for them to be a part of it helps them, if they know ahead of time, you know, what that event looks like, what should they come for ideas, get problems from some of their coworkers and bring those into the Kaizen event can help.
Okay, last question for both of you. You mentioned in and out of scope, project charters, parking lot lists have come up in past conversations. What do you do to make sure that that parking lot list actually gets followed up on and isn't just a repository that gets crinkled up and then thrown away?
Yeah, so we like to have, you know, a Kaizen schedule with many things in the hopper, right? And we're always moving and changing. And if those parking lots, I think it's understanding how big that parking lot item is. If it's just a simple CI or a Kaizen, then put them on the CI board and implement them that way. Or it turns into another Kaizen event, or it could be a project. So that's how we attack it.
Nice. Matt, anything there that you want to add in your experience?
Parking lots are scary for me, and the reason why is people bring ideas up, and generally when you put them on a parking lot, if you watch the person that brought up the idea, they constantly look back at that parking lot idea. So one thing I like to do is when people bring that up and people try to parking lot it, we kind of have a quick discussion about it to make sure that they understand the possible impact. And if it's not going to be impactful, it doesn't go on the parking lot. Because what I don't want them to do is to dwell on it. But to your point, if it's valuable, let's get it on the board. Let's make sure that they feel heard. But then we actually kind of say, hey, this is what we're going to work on. This is what we're going to go after. So parking lots are good, but have the conversation right then and there.
Right.
Yeah, be realistic about it, right?
Right.
Hey, well, this is absolutely great. Matt, thank you. Brad, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So for those of you that are energized and excited about this content and of course taking your Kaizen events to the next level, and you want to just continue to go to be able to make sure that your continuous improvement is successful, take a closer look at our Lean Practitioner certification as well as all the digital courses in our Lean Practitioner series that are included in your company membership. To learn more about either one, just fill out the form that's right below the player, and then we'll be in touch with details. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next month.